Mr. Loebsack.
Thank you, Mr. Langford. I, in particular, want to thank Chairman Ryan and Ranking Member Van Hollen for the opportunity to testify today about Iowans' priorities for the 2013 budget. Last year, in my testimony, I urged Congress to come together to address the great challenges facing our nation. As I testified then, these challenges demand tough, common-sense choices and serious bipartisan work. That has not changed. Iowans want Washington to come together and make thoughtful decisions that reduce the unsustainable deficit and prioritize economic recovery. We missed a major opportunity, I think, last year, and I share Iowans' disappointment with Congress's inability to work together and address the fiscal crisis facing our nation. That has not gone away. I sincerely hope that partisan differences can be put aside and that these priorities will be reflected in the 2013 budget. Last year, I strongly urged Congress to go big, as many of my colleagues did, on both sides of the aisle, and aimed for $4 trillion in deficit reduction. I also made it clear that I am willing to compromise and consider any serious, balanced proposal to reduce the deficit. That is why I have supported two bipartisan balanced budget amendment proposals. We all must be willing to make sacrifices to get our country back on track, but that burden needs to be balanced. We cannot and should not balance the budget on the backs of the poor and the middle class. As an Iowan, I know agriculture is willing to contribute through streamlining of farm support programs and cutting subsidies for storing certain commodities. As a member of the Armed Services Committee, I fully support cutting at least 2 brigade combat teams from Europe and believe we need to take a hard-nosed look at the number of troops we have deployed in Cold War legacy locations around the world. Again, as a member of the Armed Services Committee, that's why I'm addressing those particular issues. There are many other areas we could look at for savings, I believe, including adopting a proposal I pushed for years to cut members' pay, members of Congress, our pay, for the first time since the Great Depression, and raising the retirement age at which members of Congress are allowed to receive their pensions. Iowans are right to be outraged when their taxpayer dollars are misspent. American taxpayers shouldn't be paying for the same service 3 times, for example. We also need to sell federal property that the government has no need to spend money on, including power generating assets like the Tennessee Valley Authority, which could save tens of billions of dollars. There are also too many inefficient tax loopholes and special interest giveaways that we need to get rid of. The tax code needs to be streamlined and it needs to be simplified. I was raised in poverty by a single mom and my grandmother, and I share Iowans' very real concerns, not just about what the future holds, but about what the day-to-day holds for middle-class families who just can't catch a break in this economy, and for those families who've fallen out of the middle class. I think we must promote an economy that works for all Americans, and we must promote and strengthen safety nets like Social Security and Medicare, so that many Iowans who rely on those 2 programs will in fact have security in their retirement, and succeeding generations as well. Far too many middle-class families are wondering how they're going to afford to send their kids to college. Our nation cannot retreat from our commitments to college access and affordability by reducing Pell Grants and other critical student aid assistance. We simply can't reduce that assistance. I hear time and again from employers in Iowa that the workforce looking for jobs often doesn't have the skills needed to do the work for the jobs that are open. I urge the committee to support workforce training, to provide American workers with the ongoing training and skills they need to secure good-paying jobs, and for employers to be able to find the workforce they need to grow. That training extends to the specific needs facing our veterans as well. No man or woman who has served our country in uniform should have to fight for a job or their benefits here at home, especially when they were willing to fight for our country prior to coming back to America. I urge support for job training, transition assistance, and benefit programs for those who have served our nation so proudly. Our country is facing an economic downturn that I think we all can agree has gone on for far too long, and a long-term deficit I think we all can agree that is threatening our country's economic future. We must lay political differences aside, or as I like to say, we have to put our political arms down. And we have to seize what is an opportunity, I believe, to make meaningful reductions to the deficit, to grow the economy, and to support middle-class families. We can do all of this at the same time. I urge you to consider these proposals, and I thank you again for having me today and allowing me to testify, and I appreciate it very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Loebsack. Mr. Higgins, you're recognized.